Hi Scorpio, come on in. It's your Scorpio July 2020 reading, and we are going to do tarot now. And of course I use a lot of astrology, don't I, in your tarot readings, and it's great to see the Scorpio subscribers back again. You might say, why am I wearing a t-shirt? Because normally I wear a jacket or a suit. Well, it's because I've been doing meditation here while a thunderstorm has been raging outside of my house. I like doing readings while it's raining, and in fact I've done some readings for some of you, haven't I, since last month, and thank you for recommending me to your friends as well. I appreciate the vote of confidence. If you'd like to have a personal reading, then just check out the information that's in the description box below. But let's get things underway. The subscribers of Scorpio, let's have a look, see what there is in store for you, and also guests have come along tonight. I've got a good feeling about this. I feel that there's a lot of very good spiritual things about to happen for you, and I've got a good feeling about things going for you and in your way. I think there's going to be a great visitor coming towards you. But anyway, let's see what there is. I use a lot of astrology. Now these cards, well, because the esoteric astrology which I use is quite spiritual, and the spiritual energies that are there. There's the power of the earth, the Four of Stones. Yeah, so we shall see what there is in store for you. There is the Mother of Swords in the... Can I make it out? Yeah, there's the Mother of Swords in the south. That's quite interesting depictions there. That's very interesting things coming your way, I think. There's Brahma, the father of the wands in the east. You are whoever you are. The Seven of Swords. Sometimes it can be seen to be difficult, the Seven of Swords. I think that with what's around here for you, though, this is actually... Now that's got an I Ching character on it, so I'll discuss the Chinese I Ching character as well, because that has a bearing for you, particularly as it's below another card with a Chinese I Ching character. Let's pick the final card for you, shall we? And then we'll do the reading. Old Man, Father of Stones in the west. Look, here comes the rain, so let's do the reading now and hope we don't get drowned out by the sound of the water. All right, can you see? Now we're not using the playing cards, of course, they're just there for energy. We're going to look at this first card here for you, which is the Four of Stones, or the Four of Earth. Actually, why don't we have a look at this I Ching character as well? First of all, 4, great number, great stability, power, a lot of materialism in this card here. But this I Ching is interesting. Not quite sure that it should be applied to a card like this. I Chings can be read line by line or in couplets or in triplets, but I'm reading it as the 6 together, and as the 6 together I'm getting the idea of shock coming out of that thing there. Now shock, well, if you hear thunder unexpectedly, that's a shock, isn't it? First comes fear, then a sharpened vision. Now if you recall a close brush with danger, like a falling tree branch, or a barely avoided automobile accident, or an escape from violent confrontation. Now such incidents arouse every nerve in your body, don't they? Perhaps there's even a brief wave of panic, but soon, once the danger has passed, the initial reaction gives way to heightened awareness. And I think that this is a case that you will have. I don't think that you are going to have any particular dangerous situation coming to you, but I do feel that there's going to be heightened awareness. Let me look at the cards, astrology, and see what I can do. Well, let's look at the image first. There are 4 rocks suspended above water, it looks like. Blue, red, white, yellow. They signify the 4 directions and the 4 elements. Interesting sort of abstract arrangement there. What is more interesting, though, is that I call this the Lord of Earthly Power. It is the Sun in the third decan of Capricorn for you this month, the 13th to the 21st of January. Now, Capricorn, whatever else you may say, is a feet on the ground, eye on the prize sort of a sign, isn't it? Those with their Sun in Capricorn in their natal astrological chart have a realistic, grounded approach to life that can be seen really no matter how dreary the rest of their birth chart happens to be. Here we have for you the Sun energizing the Capricorn Earth, and material benefits and power are the result. Now, the Sun in astrology is the symbol of your dynamism or power, and Capricorn is the application of that power in a useful way. So I see things here which is talking about really things coming about, and also the exercise of great character on your behalf is what I see. There is a sense to me that this is a very materialistic sort of a card, very materialistic. Now, you may well need to set limits and become more established in your character and integrity. Life is, I think, orderly and secure, but it might seem, at points, barren and discontented. I think this sort of orangey background here hints at this. Orange is the color of the Sun, but you might find yourself in a desert if you become too constrained and emotionally not fulfilled, or if spirit is missing from your life. Now, this type of environment is one which is well protected by these stones, and that could also act as a sanctuary for you where you find your inner voice. Or it can also be something which develops a sense of materialism within you and the acquisition of things that you want to show off to other people. You may also be tested not to give up your personal power, and you need to discriminate about where and to whom to say no. Now, sometimes you need to stay within the inner sanctuary of yourself so you don't give too much away. But I see financial and material security is important to you at this time, and these are solid foundations for it. I think you'll start to slowly acquire assets due to sound judgment and wise investment. You'll be willing to work for what you want. You'll have confidence in applying yourself to the world. You'll be seen as being a dependable person who acts with integrity. And really, it's so good that I do see the fulfillment of your personal dreams and ambitions. Where do I want to go next? I want to go to him. He just seems to be calling out to me. This guy called Old Man. Let's have a look. You see that? Where is it? There we go. You know those fossils that you find in rocks that sometimes have the footprints of animals and people in them? That sort of looks like that, doesn't it? But this is and there's like cave paintings of hands. It's called Old Man. Now, it's a person, I suppose. Now, I wonder, look, the old man that I am familiar with is also known as Napi. He is the creator god in the mythology of the Blackfoot Indians in North America. He is said to have created the world and all the creatures in it. To make humans, Old Man fashioned figures out of clay and breathed life into them. Interesting. We heard that before? Well, we have heard that before in the Hebrew Bible or Christian Old Testament in the book of Genesis. And that's the creation story. Well, the second creation story anyway in chapter 2 of Genesis. In chapter 2, verse 7, it says, "The Lord God formed man from the dust of the earth he blew into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living thing. There you go. Now, what's interesting in both those stories is that the breath is used. There is the breathing, the blowing to create humanity. Now, in the Genesis story, in chapter 1 anyway, you recall that, roughly speaking, it was said, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God said, "Let there be an expanse between the waters." God said, "Let there be vegetation." God said, "Let there be animals," and what have you. Saying as opposed to things. But when it came to the production of Adam actually in Hebrew means earth, or earthling, incidentally. He breathed. He didn't say, "Come to life," or "Let there be man." He breathed. It was the figure was created, and the divinity was said to have breathed life into man. Now, if you think about it, we can just talk and we don't use much breath. But if you are to blow a balloon up, you use much more energy. You bring in much more from yourself, don't you, when you blow into a balloon? So the act of breathing life is actually taking from the inside. It's using much more power and energy from inside to breathe life into something. So I think that's an interesting comparative analysis of the creation story between the Blackfoot Indians and the Abrahamic religions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. But here we go. We have a person here who is what? I think what I can say is, look, I'm getting a lot of Virgo around this, and Leo, so I think that these people are going to be important to you. This is, for me, really the lord of the wild and fertile land. Why am I getting Virgo? Well, I suppose the first two decans of Virgo are ruled by the Sun and Venus, respectively. And the Sun is required for crops, which is necessary for the growth of the earth and for the development of the earth. And the second decan is ruled by Venus, which is nurturing, so it's got to nurture life. So I'm getting that Virgo around it. Now, if it's a person around you, I think it may well be a man of the land. I think a person who is patient, a hard worker, clever, maybe into material things, I think, which is not surprising. You could well be having that attribute there from materialism, and there's nothing wrong with it. Just don't get too carried away with it, as your mother always told you, I assume. But I think what this is saying to you is that you should be instinctive during this month. Rather than over-intellectualizing things, you'll have a good work ethic which can bring results over the longer term. Now, the only air card that you have present in your spread is this one here, and it's a very favorable one, and it's not one that is concerning the interplay of earth and air here, because normally they're enemies and they weaken each other. So I really think it's not an intellectual time. It's not to say that you're not intellectual, but use your work ethic to get things done. And this is a guy here, this old man, who doesn't really take much of an interest in anything outside of the work environment. So that might be something for you to be aware of. And I think that what will happen is that you'll have a deep connection with Mother Earth during this period. I think that now is the time to set your abilities to work in the service of some kind. The tasks before you could be large and demand the use of all of your powers. If you make an effort, the harvest will reward you richly. And I think you might ask yourself this question: are there any tasks in your life that you would like to avoid and which are necessary to do? Whenever things seem to be too much trouble for you, Concentrate on the positive results of your actions for you and for other people. Your internal learning and growing process is the most important outcome, more important than that which you achieve by your actions, in a sense. And have this thought in mind: with every task that comes my way comes also the energy needed to accomplish it. Let's see what there might be over here and have a look at this one. Yeah, I'm not enamored with the title. I really look at this more as being the Lord of Shortened Force. Here we have these faces merged together, melted together, and 4 of them in the rock, with the swords haphazardly stringing around. This is reminiscent to me, or strikes up with me, a kind of an image of all those useless old men who run the business of the world and create such chaos and lack of equality amongst people. They're about the pursuit of power and money for its own sake, without a proper distribution of the product of the earth to the people who are all its rightful heir. Anyway, let's look at the image here, this I Ching. Well, this is really the darkening of the light. When the light goes down, it may be wise to become invisible. Imagine fresh darkness, the period just after sunset, or after a fire has gone out. There is still much activity left over from the light of the day, and movements in the outer world are at their most dangerous. Even the smallest sound, the faintest glow of light, can attract unwanted attention now. And when the darkness of stupidity reigns in human affairs, it's best to keep your brilliance hidden under a bushel basket. Let your thoughts and efforts be quiet, self-contained, and protected as much as possible from harmful influences. Don't let yourself be swept along on the current of conventional wisdom. When too many dangerous uncertainties exist, try not to become too depressed or anxious, because this period will pass. Just endure it for now and preserve your self-confidence while remaining cooperative and flexible. The time to assert yourself will come. Avoid looking too far ahead if you haven't yet achieved your goals, because that will only stimulate feelings of regret or longing, eating away your inner strength. Now, I think, is the time to be cautious and reserved. Control yourself. Do not needlessly stimulate forces of opposition. And during dark, unsettled periods, it's best to step gingerly around the sleeping dogs. Well, the astrology in this for you this month is interesting, because I'm getting the moon ruling the 3rd decan of Aquarius, that 9th to the 18th of February. Now, the emotions of the moon cloud the intellectual qualities of Aquarius. Aquarius is thus weakened, giving it a lack of, well, causing it to provide you with a lack of clarity, is what I see. There's a feeling perhaps of despondency or discouragement in a way. Maybe, is it possible that you could be having negative expectations about something? I mean, you really shouldn't, you know. There's a lot of self-doubt perhaps about you at the moment, when it seems that difficulties are insurmountable at times. Your mind seems distracted at a time that you need to be focused. Possibly subconscious doubts dominate. You know, the moon over the sun. I'd say this, you know, there is a center of consciousness in the other realm known as Manukuel, one of the 72 names of God. And a book of the Old Testament called Psalms, Psalms 38 verse 22 comes to mind, which says, "Do not abandon me, O Lord my God, be not far from me." And then in 23 it says, "Hasten to my aid, O Lord, and be my deliverance." Now, contemplating those verses, Psalms 38, 22 and 23, your impulses towards self-pity and retaliation and revenge are swept away. It will replace your thinking with the understanding that you are the creator of your own circumstances, and what you have created you can change. Realize also that your fears have nothing to do with reality. Wake up and see what's really happening. I mean, ask yourself, in what areas of your life do you diminish yourself with your limited ideas? What are your constricting belief systems? Have this thought in mind: I master all the skills and means needed to achieve that which I long for most deeply. Yep, you've got it. You've got this. Let's have a look at Brahma here. See, Brahma, I think, is even coming in now to say, you coming to the fore, and this Mother of Swords is going to show you the way as well. Now here we have a picture of Brahma, four-headed, holding a spoon, stirring milk, four arms in which there is, I suppose, a holy book. Do you know that Brahma is the creator god in Hinduism? Although Hinduism, strictly speaking, is actually monotheistic. It just believes in one god, Brahman. And the forms of Brahma and the other gods, Vishnu, Shiva, and their consorts, and all the many others, are really manifestations of attributes or sides of God, and which also help people, particularly in a country where many people have been uneducated over the times, to get their mind around the concept of God, or to be able to relate to it. You know, it's something tangible that they can relate to. But there is one transcendent, unknowable God in Hinduism. That is the reality, just the same as there is in Christianity or Islam or anything else. But Brahman is also the creative aspect of Vishnu. And he's the creator of the four Vedas, you know, they're sacred books, one from each of his mouths. Brahma is the consort of the female goddess Saraswati, who's the Hindu goddess of knowledge, music, art, wisdom, and learning. And she is part of the trinity of her Saraswati, Lakshmi, and Parvati. And all three forms help the trinity of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva to create, in the case of Brahma, to preserve and maintain, in the case of Vishnu, and regenerate, in the case of Shiva, the universe. Yeah, well, I get a lot of Scorpio in this card here. A lot of Scorpio. I think Sagittarius could also be important to you. This really is also the Lord of the Flames and Lightning, the King of the Spirits of Fire. I'm getting Sagittarius around here because I get a feeling of a lot of swiftness about you. Also, to some degree, that you may be hard to pin down, and you'll have a desire for travel, I think, and you'll have quite a philosophical outlook. I think what's also the case here is that there may well be some quite unusual circumstances going on around you at the moment. But you should remain cool and collected, resolute and energetic, and be careful of the actions that you take, and not do anything which is, you know, ill-considered or not properly thought out. But go forward with an alert confidence in your ability. Yeah. Look, with this energy that's here, I kind of get the feeling also of one shot. Also with that Sagittarius action around here, you know when you have a bow and arrow and you shoot the arrow, well, it goes in one direction. It's unable to adapt to anything that might be going on. It just goes in that direction, and that's the only arrow that you have. So be aware that you may be called upon to adapt to circumstances, and so don't do things which kind of launch you on an inevitable outcome or inevitable planned outcome, unless you've got the ability to change your plans or to accommodate your activity according to how things turn up at the time. I think that this is very much also, look, I do very much also get this feeling of traveling around you. There could well be a change of job. There may well be a promotion within an existing area of work that you're doing. And I think that you'll be bringing your creative ideas into action. Certainly it's a time for you to have the courage of your convictions. Find your vitality and trust your gut instinct. Let your hair down. Give yourself a pep talk and believe that you can do it. Be awake and ready for people or situations which could produce, dynamic changes for you, and be grateful for the gift of existence. Receive it and be aware that it is a gift, and use all the things, the light and the dark that are around you. I mean, ask yourself, is there anything does your present situation really allow your energies to develop and to unfold fully? And if not, what must be removed or changed? And also seek out situations and opportunities that challenge you. Engage them with all of your energy. And have this thought in mind that every challenge which arises helps me grow. Every storm strengthens my roots. And here we go then with this star goddess, the goddess of the night, Nut, as she's sometimes known. She seems to be in two forms here, one forming an arch over the earth and another one standing up on her tippy toes by the looks of these things. These stars, they look to me to be drawn in a way which is representative of the arms and legs of the human, and that's appropriate because I believe that every woman and every man is a star. Well, Libra around here, Virgo, really do get those feelings here. I think that this is all about making clear decisions based on fact and fairness for you. Similar really in a way to this goddess herself. I won't go into the mythology because it takes up too much time just now. But I think that you will come across as being very graceful during this period. You'll be very perceptive, a keen observer, and a subtle interpreter. An intense individualist, but very confident and gracious also is what I'm getting. Very confident and gracious. I think it's about cutting through old masks and roles, really, but we were talking about that before. This is another aspect to it. It's clarity, it's rational, it's intellectual, it's sort of logic and objective. It really is very much a mind-based card. Very much a mind-based card. And that's good for you because you have a mind like a steel trap. You need to use your intellect to make an unbiased decision about a situation. Now, compassion and empathy may distract you, so you must go with your head and not with your heart. It is not a time to beat around the bush about a situation either. Decide what to do, then act, and cut through the old patterns and masks. And you do have a few masks in your wardrobe and closet, don't you? Cut through some of those old things and have the courage of your convictions to move forward. But this is also what this card was saying, to have the courage of your convictions. So it's really being important. It's an important message that I feel that's coming through to you now. I think that you are now in the process of separating yourself more and more from old roles and behavior patterns, aren't you? Do you feel that that's the case? Now, this may bring some painful experiences with it, but look, it's going to be worth it. The clarity you gain sets you free which are the roles you most easily and most often hide behind? And are you really willing, able to drop them? Observe yourself in different roles. Some you will continue to play, and that's okay. But now with more awareness, you will play them until you no longer identify yourself with them. Have this thought in mind. My only duty in life is to remain true to myself. Well, that's a great spread for you, Scorpio. Well done. That's the way it is for you this month. Well, there you go, the month of July 2020, and it looks as if there's going to be great things in store for you, and that's great to hear because you deserve good things to happen to you. You certainly do. Look, you were fantastic during that reading, as you always are, and really, there's really only one thing left for me to say, and it is this, that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, it's bye for now.